talking to myself for the last few minutes. I'm so sorry. I thought I had gone live and I hadn't. And it looks like you're all very kindly still here. Uh, so let's, because it's now doing the countdown. So I'm hoping we are live. Holy mackerel. Okay. So maybe I have to talk again because, um, okay. So if any of you are actually there and can just let me know that you're um, still in the chat, that would be great. I don't understand. Here's the deal. They've changed the interface, and every time I feel like I'm doing it correctly, something weird happens. So maybe I actually have to read something. Which I tend to just try to figure things out. Oh, there I'm seeing hello. Hi, hi, hi. Oh, I'm so glad that we didn't lose anybody. Okay, good. So what I was saying before I was saying hello to everybody, and maybe I'll do that again because I'm not even sure that was correct. Hi, Trude and Andrew and Robin and Mel and Chris and Leanne. I think I already got you, Margaret, but I'm gonna get you again. Uh, Lynn, good to see you. Susan, yeah. So here we are. So thank you. That was rough, but I appreciate you all hanging in with me. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to read some or talk to some tech people to make sure next week we don't have any issues. Um, so I was saying how my harvest has been so different this year, and I kind of hear that from almost everybody. Um, that it's not that we're not getting harvests; they're maybe not as prolific. They're like I got my first harvest of green beans yesterday. It is the middle of September. Now somebody ate them all when they first went in, uh, but still, middle of September. I'm usually on my second or third planting of dwarf beans by the middle of September. I'm just harvesting my first planting. They're fabulous, but it's kind of late. And which I haven't made these in years and years and years, and I don't know why I stopped. I made dilly beans the other day with some of the green beans that we bought at the farmer's market. And oh my word, they are so good. I think I prefer it to a pickle. So it's essentially a pickled green bean. And oh my goodness, it's so good. And then I also was waxing poetic a little bit about the Rebel Starfighter Prime tomato. I think we are back now, Chris. I hope. I'm not touching anything, and I've closed everything else down, so I think we're gonna be fine. Uh, yeah, I know, again, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to actually, um, maybe talk to someone about this new interface that they've put in here. That's not my nature. Usually, I just try to figure it out because it's usually not that much different, right? Yeah, well, something's kinda big and different in here, and I need to get a better handle on it. So I was also talking about the Rebel Starfighter Prime tomato, which was a real beautiful surprise this year. Hi, Rob. Glad you could be here. Hi, Siggy. I'm not sure I said hi to you either. Might have missed you. I apologize. So the tomato is not only gorgeous, it really looks like a Brad's Atomic Grape, only huge. Because it's got that same pointed end, but it's a rather big tomato. And I'll tell you, the taste is incredible. So I I'm thinking, uh, that's gonna be on my list, I think. I grew it just because of the name. I thought it was fun. My husband and I are Star Wars, Star Trek fans, so I just grew it because of the goofy name. But let me tell you, that is a really nice tomato. So I think that's gonna make my list every year. So right now I have a lot of them, in my freezer, ready to make some, tomato items out of. And oh, hi, Allie. Yeah, sorry, a couple things. I got my thumbnail up quite late. It's usually up the day before. Call that, we're just gonna call that a mistake. And then we've had weird little gremlins happening in here, so I think we're fine. I think we're gonna make it. So anyway, the Rebel Starfighter Prime for sure will make my tomato list every year. Oh, Lynn had barely any beans. Isn't that crazy? And I think it's Jessie, from the Potty Mouth group. She can't, like, give away how many beans she's gotten. Uh, yeah. Oh, Lynn, that's lovely. There are a few videos on my, um, channel, but I probably am due for one. It's hard at this time of the year because nothing looks like you kinda want it to, but I think I just have to go and go, "This is what it is." Um, have any of you found any new tomato varieties that have kinda surprised you? Uh, this this, Rebel Prime or Rebel Starfighter Prime has really been a great, surprise to me. My standard, like, purple heartthrob, that's a dwarf tomato, doing beautifully. Got quite a bit of harvest from those, not like I did last year. Again, and I'm probably might be repeating myself because I'm not sure how the intro all went when I was talking to myself for a while. Um, but I bought a case of Romas from the farmers market because I want to make some bruschetta and some more uh, enchilada sauce, which was a great surprise last year. And the other thing I was talking about, which I don't know again if it's been on this recording, is I made dilly beans from the green beans that we picked up at the farmer's market. Oh my goodness, they were so good. I think I like them better than pickles, and I don't know why I stopped making those, but those will also be a very nice annual event. Um, so I'm already trying to figure out where I can get a hold of more green beans because it's kind of late in the season at this point to get seasonal beans. Robin, oh, Bloom Blam, love that name. Uh, has a German strawberry. Is that a tomato? Sounds fabulous. Uh, yeah, it sounds very fabulous. Robin has got Lucid Gem. Is that a wild boar variety? I wonder. Dr. Wychie, which is always good, and Tim's Taste or Tom's Taste. Is it Tim's Taste? I don't know, Tim or Tom. They're related. Uh, anyway, yeah, my Tim's Taste of Paradise for the second year in a row are still struggling. I don't know what I'm doing because they're next to other tomatoes that are. Everything seems to be struggling at the same rate, uh, which is unfortunate. Oh, I don't think I've ever heard of that one. So the German strawberry is a tomato. Yeah, I don't know that I've heard of that one. It sounds wonderful. Um, So Robin's had great success with um, Tim's Taste of Paradise. Yeah, I was really hoping to get that and actually try them. Let's see. Okay, so tomatoes, I'm freezing until I have time to really start preserving those. And I have enough pasta sauce from last year. We're not, I don't need that. So, like I said, I'm going to make a bruschetta topping, more enchilada sauce. I may just make some plain roasted tomatoes. Uh, ooh, that sounds, ooh, it's a good, we got to look at this one. Have you tried a pepper called kimchi pepper? Bought some from a lady who had their Korean friend bring some back. Not sure the Amazing 2 F1 will come to fruition. Yeah, dodgy China company. Isn't it the truth? Okay, I actually, I'll confess here, I usually don't do that, but I tried to order some from a dodgy Chinese company as well, which that's called desperation, is what that's called. So we'll see um, if those ever show up and how good they might be. Well, hi, JB. Tim's or JB's Tim's have been rubbish too. Some of the fruit got close to ripe, but split terribly. See, and that's one of the things those are not supposed to do is split like the what's the sun gold, which is what we're all trying to replace because of its splitting. Um, yeah, I haven't even gotten any that far. I don't think. Uh, okay. Uh, the Lucid Gem is a Brad Gates child at Wild Boar Farms. He does some of the most amazing breeding of tomatoes, and it's not, they're not GMO, they're just classically bred tomatoes. And he makes sure that they're stable before he releases them. So you don't have to worry about them being F1s and, uh, oh, well, since JB's in the house, we'll be sure to put this one up. Don't know about anyone else, but Tom's weren't prolific, but my chilies have been some fantastic. Win some, lose some. That would be the gardening game for sure. And depending on who you're talking to, you got a better win. Um, I I might say that. I don't know. Uh, but glad that you're having some successes. So I did want to just talk about what we're going to be doing with all this stuff as it's coming in. And I found that pickling of beans, if you're lucky enough to get enough to do something with, I really like that better than I'm not a fan of canning beans because it really tastes like a canned bean from the grocery store. And I don't like the texture. And to freeze beans, you also really should blanch them before you freeze them. So it's a little more work, but pickling them, you put them in a jar and you throw the brine over them and you water bath can them for about 15 minutes. So it's a little bit easier and quite frankly, absolutely delicious. Uh, I've already gone over kind of what I'm doing with my tomatoes. Um, and my herbs, I don't know if I've let you all know, but I ordered a freeze dryer that hopefully will be here sometime this week. So I'm trying really hard to wait on dehydrating any more of my herbs because they're supposed to be so good when they're done in a freeze dryer. So I'm trying to hold off. I may just pre-freeze some of them, uh, which will also be pretty good. Sorry, that's my phone. We're just going to ignore that for a moment. I'm hoping you can't hear it too loudly. Uh, Oh, Lynn grew honeycomb this year in place of sun gold. And to be honest, once picked, honeycomb splits too. Well, maybe it's because they're so thin skinned. I wonder if we're trying to fight something that's just gonna happen. I mean, some of my were they super sweet 100s? They split too, but they're such a nice little tomato. And if you catch them quickly, or if they don't split till they're inside, I think they're still very nice. I pick my sun gold and rosella as soon as they blush. Leave them for a few days on the counter, and they're perfect. And don't, yeah, always wise to pre-pick a little bit. Um, yeah, well, good luck when you get an indigo purple. I have some indigo blue. Um, I don't understand that, Robin, but I'm trying to keep up with you all talking, and I kind of miss them. So I'm not sure what that's in reference to. It's a cute name. Um, yeah, let's just. Oh, order it. Oh, yeah, you are going to love those, Allie. Those are always on my list. Every year I grow them, and you don't get like a million of them, but the ones you get are they're so good that it's worth whatever you get off the bush because they are just so good, so good. Uh, and let me switch gears again to more preserving. I recently preserved some salsa verde with tomatillos, which I also got at the farmer's market because if you've ever grown tomatillos yourself, you know that it is a very uh, sprawling plant and very hard to contain in a single location. So for me, it's one of those ones. Yes, do I love being able to pick them directly off the plant? Yes, I do. Uh, it's a space issue for me. So I was able to get some at the farmer's market. And we also have near us here in Detroit, we have a Mexican, well, it's called Mexican Village. And so it's a very high concentration of Mexican restaurants and Mexican groceries. So always able to get fresh tomatillos there at like year round. But I do like to get them when they're in season, which is what it is right now. Oh, we have a question. What's your garden plans for this month in October? Okay. Well, I'm wrapping certain things up sooner than I might usually. We have some repair that needs to happen on a couple of my like 3-foot raised beds. And that requires like not I mean, they need to be empty in order for my husband to do all the he puts in like rods and things that keep holding it together. Um, so I don't know that I'm gonna replant even a cover crop because I don't know what that all is gonna end up looking like. Uh, I am probably going to harvest sweet potatoes in October. They're looking beautiful, very lush, but their leaves are looking a little the color's changing a little bit, which I'm amazed at because we're still getting such hot heat. I mean, today is well in the 80s. And so we've had a couple cool days, but not enough to throw off a sweet potato, which um just loves heat. So I'll harvest those. We still have some potatoes to harvest. Um, on my deck, I had uh, pots of zinnias, peppers, and coleus, and they're all looking a little worse for the wear. So I might pull a lot of that, and I'm gonna start some perennials on one side, and I might just seed those in, so those get started, and maybe will be more ready for next year. My back 40, which is just the big open, flat area, I've got some perennials that I wanna get in there as well, more pretty, perennials. Uh, yeah, and we have a lot of weed pressure back there, so I've been saving up some cardboard, so I think I'm gonna put cardboard down and put dirt on top or soil on top, probably actually, like, a good composted manure, and what else? My fennel is still growing, so I'm just gonna let that go until there is no more. Uh, got radicchio, a lot of the fall, uh, greens are doing lovely, so I'm gonna let those, get up and mature. So, and I'm changing a few of the structures in my garden. I had some trellises in one place, and, my husband also happens to be a really fine woodworker, so I want him to, make me a trellis that 2 blackberries can crawl up. So adding a little different structure to what the garden was. So that's kinda what I'm into for September and October. May start some microgreens inside. Uh, you know, things are always don't you think in your garden, things are always in motion? And particularly if you're trying to, like, really change something, you have to sacrifice a little of your growing space, to let that happen. So here's a question about pickling versus fermenting. Pickling is usually a vinegar-driven process where things are put in a jar. Sometimes they're cooked a little, sometimes they're not. Like if you're just pickling cucumbers, you want to maybe poke a few holes in them so the pickling, if you're doing them whole, so the pickling gets in. But it's usually pickling, uh, maybe some sugar with that so it doesn't. Um, Sometimes if things are too pickled, they cause you to really cough because it affects the back of your throat. But it's usually pickles and water, or not pickles, vinegar with water, sometimes with a little sugar, and then with your added seasonings. And you can either can those because there's a lot of good canning recipes, so they're shelf stable until you want to open them, or you just pop them in your refrigerator and they're like a refrigerator pickle. Um, and those will, you let them sit for a week or two and they're just fabulous. Um, Fermenting is water and salt is what does fermenting, or which is or what I oh, sorry, how I should say that's the solution that you use to begin your fermentation. And don't quote me on this, but I think it's usually like a 3 to 4% salt solution. You leave it out. You have to burp it because it will produce carbon dioxide gas, or the lactobacillus, which is what you're trying to create, will push off gas. And so you have to burp it. And the other goal with fermentation is you got to keep everything super clean. And everything has to be under the solution because if anything's above the solution, you have a chance for mold and bacteria to get in there. So that is a very, like, big picture look at it. It's a little bit more of a detailed process than that, but that's essentially the difference. And once the fermentation is where you kind of want it to be, you can then put it in the refrigerator, and that will, oh my goodness, that will really slow it down. O Okay. This day has been a little crazy. Okay. So anyway, that's, again, the basics of fermentation, like, really basics. Okay, so I hope that helps. That just gives that's a big overview. There are some, really good there is one, I'm gonna tell you he just changed his channel name. Uh, oh golly, I can't remember his new channel name, but he does a very detailed explanation of fermentation. I think it's one of the best I've ever seen. Um, anyone tried atomic fusion? Can't say I'm a fan. Yeah, I have tried that, and I would say, Robin, I'm not really a fan of it either. It's pretty. It didn't taste like much to me. A little bit watery. Oh, there, JB's given a few. It's Mike Green, and he used to be Pro Home Cooks was the name of his channel, and now I think it's like Life with Mike. Uh, but he does a lot of fermentation and brews his own kombucha and does a whole lot of stuff. So I think between those three recommendations, they're great. Uh, Margaret Alex is have to tell I grew California Wonder peppers that turned out to be long chili pods. What a win. I've harvested 20 chilies and got 20 more. Wow. Because California Wonder is like a blocky. I don't know if you got the wrong seeds or they just grew, but I'm gonna say, yeah, if you liked them and they're prolific, go for it. That's awesome. She put the chilies on everything but my cereal. Okay, that's saying a lot. Is it just sea salt? Yes, you don't want to use iodized salt. It's the same thing for canning. You just don't wanna you wanna d anything but iodized. So I know there's some other salts out there. Kosher's fine. Sea salt. I know there's a one that they dig it up in Utah, and it's like a heavily mineralized salt, also fine for fermentations, and it's all by weight. I know, JB, I'm sorry. The whole thing happened very quickly today, and I don't usually get that many phone calls in the middle of the afternoon, but okay. Um, yeah, and that's such a rookie move to leave your phone on. But anyway, uh love the idea of burping the fermented veg to get rid of gas. Yeah, it's like they're like little babies that you have to make sure you burp after they do their thing for a little bit. I also have those they're called pickle pickle tips, which lets the air escape out but doesn't let anything come in. And just in case I forget to burp it, because they can become under a lot of pressure if you forget to burp them. Okay. Oh, Corno de Toro. I like those. Yeah, that's a nice. All the cornos are really nice. There's a red and yellow and an orange. They're lovely, and they're nice and long, and very very. You get a lot when you're having a good. Okay, when you're having a good season for peppers. Well, that's a big question because they taste quite different. Uh, Fermentation has a little more funk, uh, which I kind of like. Depending, like if it's for a chili sauce or something, I like a little fermentation in there if I'm able to do it. Like if I'm working with them fresh. Sometimes I've had to freeze them because I just was out of time, and you can't ferment a frozen product unless you're adding it to something that is fermenting on its own. There's a whole lot of little rules and tips and whatnot that doesn't work. So I would say fermentation a little funky, pickling a little more straightforward. And I bet we'll get a whole lot of opinions on that, but that's how I would kind of differentiate them. Uh, but fermentation is definitely a more complex flavor. So it's harder, more steps, more babysitting than with pickling, which I mean, it's kind of put it in a jar and let it do its thing. Uh, so was anybody surprised this year about something that did really well in your garden that you really didn't expect? Anybody? Anything just go, wow, that produced so much? Or it was a new variety that I tried and I was so uh, pleased with it that it's kind of like the Rebel Starfighter Prime for me. Very pleased with that, and that will be on my list from now on. Uh, Major Dog 23. I planted some chocolate habanero, but they turned out to be a mystery upright yellow chili. Uh, Dobies offered a replacement, which is really kind. But you can't grow them this year, can you? Because you're really in a limit, uh, a time limit for how long those will take. Uh, okay, Susan is saying the weeds have grown way better than she thought they would. Uh, JB is like, absolutely nothing for me, only the opposite. I know, it's been weird, hasn't it? Oh, Andrew is saying his French beans in his polytunnel did great. Awesome. Awesome. You know, okay, we can share this little story. I stopped growing zucchini or any summer squash because, you can see someone, like one of your neighbors coming holding these huge uh, green courgettes or zucchinis, and you're hiding because there's so many. I actually planted 3 this year. One of the reasons was I found out my husband likes zucchini bread. Who knew that? I sure didn't. So I thought, well, I'll grow a few zucchinis then. I've only gotten like I planted 4 plants, which potential suicide when you grow that many plants. However, I've gotten maybe 4 zucchinis off all of them. So, that to me feels like, I got nothing because that should have been like coming out the back door of the house with full of zucchini. Uh, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm kind of throwing my arms up this year for, the growing, what grew and what didn't. Uh, Leanne's, broccoli, uh, green magic broccoli didn't bolt. Nice. And it totally it owned its room in your garden. Isn't that cool? Uh, yes, it's nice if they can do that. Earn your keep. Like, make your space. That's why I also didn't grow corn this year. I am growing one broom corn, and it's more for a fall decoration, outside the front of the house. But it's about 10 feet tall and has plumes. And the squirrels, of course, have not touched that one because there's no cobs on it. So that's why I stopped growing any form of corn, because it would just wait until it got really close and then the squirrels would annihilate it. So sorry, not doing that for you. And I think this could be all of our chance from this year. Everything was late or small. Late and or small. For sure, because I think that is, absolutely correct. Robin's Anaheim peppers are off the chart productive. And the new sent them from Kew Garden. Oh, nice. Yeah, and Anaheims are, that's a nice, like, that's a nice, frying pepper. It also is nice in tapas boards. I mean, it's just a nice mid-range with a little bit of heat. Uh, Rain is, saying managed to grow some Californian wonders for the first time and planted some plain old Shirley Toms outside, and they were great. Wasn't expecting much after hearing that people didn't like them. Well, I think Shirley's, and there's another, brand in the UK or variety in the UK that is called a bog standard. And forgive me if I'm using that term incorrectly. Um, so it's not a fancy tomato, but it's a really good producer. Uh, Wyoming Yeti, is asking if my freeze dryer came yet. No. And I'm counting like, come on, it's only like an hour away. Can I just go pick it up? But I'm hoping very hard by the end of the week it will be okay. It will be here. Uh oh, wow. Spinach and clove artichokes have been really good. Though, wow. Those are, at least for me, those are both hard to grow because spinach just is so fussy about heat and its desire not to have any. And wow, I have yet to bring a globe artichoke to fruition because there's only one variety I can grow, and it's an annual one that will produce artichokes the same year. Because I cannot overwinter artichokes here. Pauline's got, loads of butternut squash. Well, I do too now, Pauline, because I bought 9 of them at the fruit market, at the farmer's market, because my squirrels or whatever it is, they take one good bite out of all of it. I mean, and then go on to the next one and do exactly the same thing. And I think, oh my gosh, could you just figure out that this thing is gonna taste just like that thing. Uh, oh, giant rutabaga, awesome. Joy oh, it's not showing it. Joy is she has a giant rutabaga and radish because they get plenty of space, one each, but it might feed us for days. Oh, yeah. I mean, a huge rutabaga, that can be, very, very, very large. Very good, though. I mean, it's one of my favorite roots, that grows. Uh, oh, Siggy was surprised about, their onion and garlic harvest. They've done well grown in 30-liter buckets. Awesome. And that keeps you out of white rot, um, possibilities too, which is also very nice. Oh, Mel did not get squash or courgettes, weeds growing very well. Got a good crop of apples and pears. Well, that's really nice. Um, you kind of just got to go with um, what you get, right? Or go to a farmer's market and pick up what you didn't get. Uh, Rob had another great year of onions. Good, good. I also bought a case of onions too at the farmer's market because we got some, but they were not. I like to chop mine all up, have them in the freezer in usable portions, and that way, come dinner time, you don't have to get an onion out and start chopping. They're already pre-chopped, ready to roll. You throw them in, and life moves a little quicker. I've never heard of this. I grew zombie pumpkins, F1s from Save Seed. I expected 0, but I've got 8 plus pumpkins. Some look like zombies. I'm hoping we can save seed in a few years, and I can have great warty pumpkins. Well, at least you will get a great variety, right? That you will know that you're gonna get some that look like, uh, the zombies and some that look like something they crossed it with. So, that's a great little collection, though, that you can have just off one plant. Um, okay, Major Dog is saying he got a great crop of black currant and raspberries, though. So some positives, yes. Um, I am adding a lot more fruit to my garden in this next year, because I just didn't focus on that, and I thought, "Oh, that'll be really nice." So I have a pretty good, um I'm getting a pretty good assortment, like, of raspberries, and I think they're contained in a place that I don't think they're gonna spread because they're surrounded by cement, although everyone tells me, "Oh, they'll just grow through the cement, don't worry." So, I'm keeping my eyes peeled for that just in case they do. Uh, oh, JB obviously has my love for spinach and how hard it is to grow. Um, yeah, just when it's starting to look nice, it bolts. That is so true. I can even get that if I try to start it inside so that maybe it's a little bigger plant when it goes out, it bolts inside my house before it has even seen the light of day. So I think next year I might just plant some like way early outside, like in March when I have to move the snow to get it in the ground and then go, let's see what you do. Maybe they'll do better if they're out there. I don't know. Or I'm gonna put them in my winter sowing jugs to just kinda let them maybe be the first ones, that come up and get the lid taken off, right? Uh, we have Lynn is taking a leaf out of JB's book and have bought some garlic from Little. Uh, that's an interesting word to try because olive white garlic has been pants for the last 2 years. Now, I have heard about this Isle of White garlic. I think it's a pretty expensive garlic because you're at a very nice garlic farm, I think, on the Isle of Wight. Uh, when is everyone uh, Chris is asking, when is everyone putting in onions and garlic? So, Chris is a UKer, so I'm gonna let the U although I think we kinda do it similar times. Um, let's see what we got. Oh, well, so much for that good idea, Trude. I winter sowed spinach. They were tiny for a long while and then bolted. I'm actually thinking this might be one that I kind of reverse winter sow. I think I might sow it in a bed, but have a jug over the top of it. So as soon as there's any activity, I can take the jug or the tub off. I don't know. I would just love to be able to grow some spinach successfully. That would be just a very nice thing. Um, okay. I think Lynn kind of captured that. Uh, or it's going to be in the shade, is my advice. And I have a couple beds that are mainly in the shade, like 90% of the day. So I think it probably wouldn't mind getting a little sun. However, uh, okay. Oh my goodness. You guys are chatting, chatting, chatting. Um, so, what are some of the things that you always like to preserve a little bit uh, for over winter? Now, like the butternut squash that I got, I probably don't have to do much of anything with that until it starts to show any kind of sign of um, not quite, molding or decaying. I mean, they're like one of the longest storing squash that I'm aware of. I know my potatoes, you need to kind of keep an eyeball on those because they can go from okay to not okay pretty quickly. Does anybody have any great ideas for how they store their potatoes? Um, I'm gonna give I'm gonna give potatoes a shot in my freeze dryer and see how that works. Because I don't love to can them. I find they get a little mushy, but I know they can be if they're blanched and frozen. They can stay in the freezer, but I think maybe if I blanch them and freeze dry them, that might even make that easier. Yes, exactly. Uh, dehydrate. Oh, okay. Not was a good comment. Come on. Dehydrator fees. What is going south? Yes, because you just have to be able to keep an eye on it, and like check it kind of regularly if you're keeping things whole and just letting them be themselves. Um, Yeah. Chris is asking also, how do I look after strawberries over winter? Uh, are they okay outside? And Andrew is saying they're fine outside, Chris. Yeah, they should be, as long as they are. Well, and I don't know if in the UK you use zones, but as long as they're able to withstand however low your temperatures get, they should do just fine outside. And I'm of the ilk at this point in my life. If they don't make it over winter, I don't know that I need that variety in my life. So I will move on to a more um, one that will take a little more of the cold, because we have a long our winters are long and cold. And it's all different if they just get a little nip of frost and then are back uh, a little bit warmer the next day. When we go south, we go south for a while, and that makes all the difference. Siggy's always saying, or Siggy's not always saying, Siggy said they're totally fine outside in the UK. So yeah, that's awesome. Um, I actually purchased by accident uh, June bearing strawberries, which I wanted for under my asparagus, because then they kind of come up at the same time. And, the fronds haven't begun on the asparagus plants yet. So you can still harvest those. But then I had a lot extra, and I put them in one of my green stalks. And seriously, uh, I I don't like, because that's taking up an entire green stalk for the entire summer, and I only had one, which I didn't have because they were new plants. So I've gotten maybe like 3 strawberries off them. So I'd kind of like to replace those with with everbearings, because then, if you just stop by the house, you can pick a strawberry off my everbearings, which is really nice. Okay, I'm trying to just go back a little bit. Oh, this sounds good. I buy a huge box of red peppers. This is Mary Louise, from a local farmer. I barbecue the peppers. Can do a lot at once. Absolutely. I blister, peel, and deseed. Store in small freezer bags to use later in hummus or soups. Isn't that is just, yes, delicious. There's nothing like um, kind of smoking the pepper, roasted. I guess they call those roasted red peppers, but it changes the flavor. It's really lovely. Uh, oh wow. Trude is saying most of her strawberries survived in pots last winter with 20 below for weeks. Wow, that is really cold. Oh my goodness. Is that Celsius or Fahrenheit? Because that's like freeze dryer temperatures. That is really, I imagine that's Celsius. So maybe that's not as low as our Fahrenheit. I, yeah. Anyway, that's really. Robin's got. We use the reds and sweets up first. The Patterson are my storage variety. Went for 8+ months. Shallots, yeah, also go long, but I seem to use them faster. Yeah, I think I want to lean into shallots next year, because they seem to store like forever. And to me, that's my goal. I just want to be able to pick an onion and use it, and because it's always one of those things. Do I need to go get this? Do I need to go get that? Wouldn't it be nice if it's just there? Okay, Bram is saying something. Okay. Thank you, Robin. And thank you, Trolled. I saw it Celsius. Cause yeah, that's really well, yeah, they say that they'll freeze it down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is like freaking cold. Yeah. Yeah, but -4 to me, I mean, that's really cold. You gotta wear a coat and but like -20, that's like Alaska weather, which is super cold. Super cold. There's a good question up here, I think. I'm trying to get to. I think this is it. Can you use the seeds from roasted peppers? Like the seeds to grow the peppers? If you were going to do that, I would say um, take the seeds out before you roast them. Yeah, I wouldn't trust because no seeds like heat. I mean, that's one of the things they always are saying, keep it out of sunlight, keep them away from sun, keep them out of heat, keep them in a cool place. So, yeah, I would just roast one sliced open and grab the pepper seeds. Oh, Marie Louise, we're thinking about the same. Yeah, most of the seeds would not be viable. You can always split the peppers before barbecuing. Yep, I agree. Okay. Well, we're almost at the hour, and my phone has gone off 2 more times. I have a big board meeting tonight, so I'm thinking that's what the phone calls are about. So I probably need to attend to that. Uh, this was, as always. Oh, oh, sorry, I can't. I got to look at this one last one from Allie. I made rhubarb cheong. We'll bottle it tomorrow and dehydrate the leftover pulp. I love it when you get two products for the price of one, right? Isn't that? I don't know. That makes me feel very accomplished when I do things like that. So, anyway, thank you so much for being here with me. Well, I know we had couple little snafus there at the beginning. Thanks for hanging in. Um, this was fun. Be always thinking about what you're going to do with your harvest, because one of the saddest things to me is when I like put a bag of tomato or a bag of carrots in the back of my refrigerator and find it 2 weeks later and something has gone off. So we work hard for these harvests, even if they're not what we absolutely would love. uh, so you all have a great week gardening, and hopefully my freeze dryer will be here and we'll be able to talk about that. And so take good care. See you next week, same time, same place.